Have you ever seen someone driving under a blanket? It may sound unbelievable, but it's happening in China. To address the issue of electric vehicle battery range in winter, a taxi driver has come up with a clever solution, driving without the heater on and instead using a blanket. This is not about saving money, he says, but about covering more miles. If he uses the heater, he's either on his way to charge or stuck charging. For passengers feeling cold, he even prepared blankets. The driver's dedication to service is clear, but it highlights the limitations of the vehicles. The sale of domestic electric vehicles in China has surged, but so have owner complaints about battery range, charging, and safety issues.
Guys, try not to drive electric cars in winter if you can help it. I'm stranded here, literally stuck because my car won't move anymore. Can you believe it? With 16% battery and 48 kilometers of range left, I can't even engage D. Just earlier, I could only go at 40, then it dropped to maintaining only 20, and now, here I am, stuck. Luckily, it's a small car, so I can push it. Yes, I'm pushing my own car right now.
In a video, a man is seen frustrated by the insufficient range of his electric car in winter.
Oh my goodness, I can't believe I'm pushing a car. Should I carry the tripod on my back? I look like a fool holding a tripod, facing the traffic, and pushing the car in reverse. What an experience today. Carrying a tripod and pushing a car. What bad karma did I create? What kind of life is this? Now I have to push the car for 2.2 kilometers.
At the end of the video, he recounts pushing his car over 4 bridges, struggling to prevent it from rolling backwards. He advises caution to others when driving electric vehicles in cold conditions, revealing a significant issue. Battery range can be as low as 30% of the manufacturer's claims. In order to prolong battery range, you can turn off heating during winter. However, without heating, electric cars can feel like moving ice cellars. A case in point is a certain brand of electric car which, despite claims of 500-kilometer range, might only achieve 400 kilometers in reality. Considering battery performance drop due to low temperatures and the need for heating, the actual range could be just 170 kilometers, nearly 70% less than advertised. Investigating the real-world range of Chinese electric cars in winter, users on the online platform Douyin conducted a number of tests. A popular blogger with 3.4 million followers, Play Car Research Society, uploaded a video to test the range of a specific electric car brand over a 400-kilometer highway journey. At the start of the video, a man shows 2 figures, a range of 434 kilometers and an odometer reading of 23,539 kilometers, reminding viewers to note these numbers.
The range was 434 kilometers, and our round trip was 360 kilometers, leaving 60 kilometers to spare. Now we're down to 130, and the motor speed is 11,200 rotations per minute. If we go faster, it exceeds 12,000 rotations. We drove 100 kilometers on the highway without air conditioning, and the battery went from 434 to 273, using up 161 kilometers of range for just 100 kilometers. I swear, if I drive an electric car for long distances again, I'm an idiot. They say electric cars save money, but it's a joke. We have now reached a stop in Weifang, started at 23,539, now at 23,711, with a battery range starting at 434, thinking I could make a round trip. But just getting here, I'm left with 70 kilometers of range.
He then begins charging the car, ironically sitting in a fuel car with the heater on while charging the electric vehicle. He calculates that he drove 172 kilometers from Jing'an to the charging station, starting with a range of 434 kilometers and ending with 74, effectively consuming 360 kilometers of range, but covering only 170 kilometers.
Even without the air conditioning, it's still tough. We thought we could make a round trip, but just arriving here, we're freezing without the heater. Calculating the cost, to fully charge the car, it would take almost 60 kilowatt hours at 1.4 RMB per kilowatt hour. That's 84 RMB. This 84 RMB can run 180 kilometers. If you use the heater, it might be less. If you spend 100 RMB on gasoline, you could drive over 200 kilometers with heating and air conditioning. Ah, it's so tough.
Charging electric vehicles poses another challenge. Even using fast charging stations, which may reduce battery life, takes about 30 minutes. In winter, fully charging a battery using normal methods can take up to 8 hours, during which drivers can't accept ride requests. To extend battery life, some drivers choose not to use the heater or keep it at a minimal level. Passengers have reported feeling as if they were sitting on ice, with the cold starting at their feet and moving up to their waist. During a video, a man showcased the difference between heating and no heating.
Turn off the heater, and the range goes up immediately. See, 181 kilometers. Turn it on, and it drops to 105. See, the range halves.
The man also said, "This is what new energy electric vehicles are like in winter, colder inside than outside. Whoever has driven them understands. It's not about the brand. Electric vehicles will be phased out sooner or later." His commentary was accompanied by tags including hashtag electric vehicles, hashtag Audi, and hashtag new energy vehicles. Due to these reasons, driving an electric car in harsh winter is indeed a nightmare for many drivers in China. The woman in this video said, "This is my life of freezing. In winter, the electric car isn't efficient. Without heating, it's like sitting in an ice cellar. I can't stand it, and the passengers would freeze. But if you turn on the heater, it consumes so much power. I'm afraid it won't last a day. It's so hard." Numerous videos on Chinese network depict similar scenarios. "I've been driving my electric car for 3 hours, freezing to death, and it's still not warm. People tell me to turn on the AC, but it's too cold, and I suspect it's broken. I'm going to get it fixed. My feet are freezing. Oh my."
After driving 40 kilometers, I have 40% battery left. In Harbin, where it's minus 20 degrees Celsius, using the heater is a luxury I dare not afford. Don't ask me why. How do I prevent frost inside the car? The trick is to open the windows while driving in winter.
Amid worsening economic conditions in China, many middle-aged people transitioning between unemployment and job changes turn to ride-hailing as a temporary solution. A significant number choose Chinese-made electric vehicles as their work tools. This is because the daily fuel cost of a gasoline car can be as high as 170 yuan, while the daily charging cost for an electric vehicle can be just 40 to 50 yuan, making electric vehicles more economical. However, they face a more severe issue. In cold conditions, a battery's range become a major challenge, causing distress for these drivers. What's it like to drive an electric car in the cold in the north of China? A video from Hunan, Changsha shows a passenger and electric car driver discussing the lack of heating due to the cold.
If we turn on the air conditioning, we won't make it. We haven't turned it on since we got in the car. I can't stand the cold. Exactly, especially on highways. If it's 300 kilometers, maybe you can only drive 80 kilometers with air conditioning. What about snow? Don't turn it on then? Move back a bit in Changsha here. But the passengers can't take it, brother. There are elderly and children. What to do? I don't know. They say it's like this around Changsha. I've only driven this car for a few months. I haven't driven in winter. I asked them, and they said that's how it is.
The passenger can only express their helplessness at the cold reality. Data reveals that China is now the largest producer and consumer of electric vehicles worldwide. In 2022, China's electric vehicle sales reached 6.8 million units, 8.5 times that of the United States, marking the 8th consecutive year China has led the global electric vehicle market. However, with the surge in sales, numerous problems have also come to light. The Chinese government continues to promote electric vehicle adoption with subsidies and incentives, but the growth in charging infrastructure lags behind the rise in electric vehicle ownership. Meanwhile, electricity prices have increased by 70 to 80%. Douyin bloggers have been vocal about the exorbitant rise in electricity cost, pointing out that driving an electric car is becoming almost as expensive as driving a gasoline-powered vehicle. Now the charging price hike has shocked me. Have they gone mad? A few days ago, it was 1.1 yuan per kilowatt here, and now, do you know how much? 2.1 yuan, a direct double increase. Even gasoline prices don't dare to rise like this. And this isn't even the most expensive. Recently, a netizen shared their charging bill, 2.98 yuan per kilowatt. Let me do the math for you. For a 100 kilowatt battery, charging from 0 to full cost almost 300 yuan. In summer, it's okay, with a range of 5 to 600 kilometers, about 0.5 yuan per kilometer. But in winter, like in our northern cities, the range is barely 300 kilometers, costing 1 yuan per kilometer. So the price is already more expensive than many petrol cars. But the blogger also mocks. But you can't blame new energy. They say it saves fuel, not money. When you think about it, it makes sense. But I think you're too anxious. Right now, the number of new energy vehicles is only over 17 million, while the total number of motor vehicles in the country is 420 million. You're talking about a fraction of that. Wait until new energy vehicles completely replace petrol cars, then raise the prices, and then ban home charging. Wait for the exploitation. That would really be satisfying. Financial expert Xie Chengyan highlighted on Newsline that China currently has about 10 million electric vehicles. Ideally, there should be an equal number of charging stations. However, there are only 3.9 million available, meaning 5 cars compete for one charging station, and electricity prices are rising. Xie Chengyan bluntly stated this is definitely a case of exploitation. Apart from the shortage of charging stations, electric vehicles in China have given rise to many chaotic situations. A Douyin user uploaded a video complaining about a charging company station undercharging drivers. The man in the video charged his electric car at a charging station in Beijing Economic Development Area near a Sam's Club, encountering similar issues with the charging station.
This is called the state grid distributed new energy charging, but there's a problem. The amount of electricity charged by the pile and the amount received by the car differs by 10%. The pile charges more, but the car receives less, by 10%, even more. I've reported this to the company, and they gave me some coupons, but the fundamental problem wasn't solved. Since I discovered this, I've paid close attention, including to Xindian 2 charging pile, Shaoju charging pile, and others. I found that only the state grid distributed new energy charging overcharged by more than 10%, while others are quite accurate, down to 0.01%. I don't know what the problem is, and I wonder if anyone can explain.
In this video, the car owner is also talking about similar issues with the charging stations.
I'm currently at the Wuxi Municipal Public Utility New Energy Xinfu station, charging this 4.2-meter van. It shows 20% battery left, both on the station and in the car. The total battery capacity is 99.8 kilowatt hours, and it started charging from 20%. According to a 100 kilowatt hour battery, 1% should be 1 kilowatt hour, but now it's almost 80% charged, and it shows 90 kilowatt hours, which is an overcharge of about 10 kilowatt hours. This charging pile is inaccurate and overcharges.
Comments on the video show that many users have had similar experiences, with some encountering such issues frequently. One user even shared an outrageous incident where his car, with a total capacity of 65 kilowatt, was charged from 10% to 100% with a total charge of 96 kilowatt. He called the police and later received a 40 yuan refund for the electricity charge on the app. In China, the safety issues of electric vehicles are also increasingly problematic. For example, safety tests failing to detect pedestrians and collisions with dummies have been mocked online as intelligent indeed, knowing it's not a real person. Incidences of electric cars spontaneously catching fire are even more common. A video showed a BYD Tang suddenly bursting into flames while in motion. A Shouhu report from October 2023 stated that, according to the latest data published by the Emergency Management Department, the rate of spontaneous combustion of new energy vehicles increased by 32% in the first quarter of 2023 alone, averaging 8 new vehicle fires per day, including self-ignition. The report highlighted the growing societal concern over the quality and safety issues of new energy vehicles. It mentioned that new energy vehicles are more prone to self-ignition than traditional fuel vehicles. For instance, no matter how careful you are, a minor collision or scrape of the chassis, which would be a minor issue for a fuel car, could lead to fire hazards in electric vehicles. Professor Song Jian from the School of Vehicle and Transportation at Tsinghua University explained that the tendency to catch fire after a collision is a characteristic of new energy electric vehicles. Batteries do not need to be damaged to catch fire. A significant impact is enough. He elaborated that while a fuel tank is a closed system that won't catch fire as long as the fuel doesn't leak, batteries are different. They contain both oxidants and combustibles, increasing the probability of catching fire after a collision compared to fuel cars. The report also mentioned that fires in new energy vehicles are harder to extinguish. Approximately 1 ton of water is needed to extinguish a burning fuel car, but extinguishing an electric car requires tens of hundreds of tons of water. Additionally, the reignition rate of electric car fire is high due to thermal runaway in lithium batteries, which do not release all the energy instantaneously but gradually spread heat to surrounding battery cells, leading to repeated reignition. Some institutions have calculated that a lithium battery fire can reignite up to 15 times. Moreover, electric car fires leave drivers and passengers with less time to escape. The reports say that fires in fuel cars generally progress slowly, often starting with smoke and a burning smell, giving occupants time to escape. Rarely do we hear a fuel car driver or passengers getting injured or trapped due to vehicle self-ignition. However, the spontaneous combustion of new energy vehicles often occur without warning and progresses much faster, leaving insufficient time for passengers to escape. Additionally, fires in new energy vehicles are accompanied by explosions and toxic gases. No wonder some have said, electric cars not only save fuel but also time. A moment's inattention could end all the time you have in your life. Buying a new energy vehicle comes with a free cremation service, and it's like buying a live coffin.